Man, you must feel real bad there, ex-Colt.
Jeff, it was all bad.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I sit there and I listen to myself and the passion that I spoke with, and I wholeheartedly believe that. I wholeheartedly believed everything I was saying. When I was getting up there, I was preaching. I felt it. I felt the spirit like I was in, man. And when that game kicked off, I wanted to rip my TV off the wall. I wanted to throw that thing. My wife had to say, hey, this is not the example we can set for our kid. I'm going to rip it down, smash it, take a picture of it and tweet it, do something. I want to bust this camera, really. That's how upset I am about the way this thing finished out. I have never seen a team with a 2-touchdown, predicted victory just melt the way they did. And so, listen, I said it. We ain't got to worry about our quarterback. We're going to hand it off to JT. Well, we did not. I think he had 15 touches or something.
He had 77 yards.
I mean, like, our offensive line played bad, gave up sacks. Our defensive line got pushed around. We didn't get any pressure. Listen, I never saw that coming. Carson Wentz, maybe it throws a late interception, we don't win. But, man, to get physically housed the way we did, really from the kickoff on, from the first drive on, we just we ushered them in and then played terrible. It's literally one of the most painful things I've had to watch as a non-participant for a team that I cheer for. It broke me. It broke me. I'm just being real.
Yeah, and Jeff, listen, you have this hits very close to home, but all that being said, looking at this game, would you say that this was the biggest disappointment of the entire NFL season?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This team had 2 weeks against the Raiders and against the Jags to get into the playoffs. They were injured, so the first part of the season really was irrelevant for me. They were so banged up. They had COVID issues. They had all kinds of issues going on. They couldn't get their team. Once they got to rolling, I thought, absolutely, this team's going to get in. Very similar to the 49ers. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. When you have the number one pick in the draft is who the Jaguars are selecting. When you're playing that team to get into the playoffs and you don't get into the playoffs, absolutely this is the most disappointing. Like, there's no other way. You had 2 chances to beat 2 teams that you should have beaten, and your quarterback doesn't play well. And this is why you signed that quarterback, right? Yeah. For games like this, when if you can't get it done, there's some awe-inspiring play to do something to get you out of it. We answered no call the last 2 weeks. Played flat, got beat. Most disappointing for sure.
It's your fault, Jeff. You should have been like Michael Irvin, down on the sidelines, hanging out with the Cowboys like he do, hanging out with the Colts, patting them on the back and firing them up. Take a page out the Playmaker book next year.
Yeah, Jeff, come on, get on it, please. We need you. We can't have this happen again. Hey, so my next question, Jeff, because you mentioned that the whole reason that they brought on Carson Wentz was to win big games like this, and he couldn't get the job done. He played horrible. So, Jeff, should the Colts now move on from Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I think they do. And again, I don't know the cap implications quite yet. You know, I know that's still got to be worked out. I don't know the exact numbers. But for what you brought him in for, I mean, you think about the Tennessee Titans loss, the moments that were were in the grasp of the team to win, and that he doesn't make enough plays. I understand he had a great throw late in the Arizona game when we were down all the offensive line, but consistently throughout the season, when the moments mattered most, he really didn't step up and do things that you would expect that type of quarterback with that type of investment to make. And look, this is not just an indictment on Carson Wentz, because again, the Jacksonville game is not just on him. That whole team got beat up. But when you ask an organization to take on a player like Carson Wentz, there has to be huge upside. And it's like he didn't throw an interception on the road, I think, until Jacksonville. And then he throws it's just like those type of conversations when the moments matter most, that cannot be the position that you're concerned about. You have to have, hey, we're going to ride through this. He might not be the greatest, kind of the Jimmy G mentality. He might not be the greatest, but when that drive, that signature drive has to be had, when the Rams and the 49ers just played, Garoppolo steps up and makes that drive. That's what you have to have for Wentz. He doesn't have to carry you all season, but man, you got to have him in certain moments, put the team on his back and carry that. He did not do it really in any season or any point of games this season, in my opinion. So I think if you're the Colts, you're looking for the next person to do that.
Jeff, do me a favor, though, really, in all honesty. Take your heart out of it. You play center. Take the fan part of it. You're smart. They're not moving on from Carson Wentz because there's nobody you can replace him with. You cannot move on from a guy who just got there that you put all your eggs and all the eggs in that basket, saying to yourself, he can get us there. Yeah, he had some up and down moments this year, but let's face it, this is his first year, and I know you say, what's the same system they ran in Philly? It's really not the same system. There are pieces of the system. He's still getting used to the wide receivers, the offensive line calls. He's still trying to get used to everything that goes on. I would say after this season, you evaluate him, you self-evaluate in the offseason, you sit him down, you go over all the things that you need to go over, and going into next season, he's your guy. Maybe you draft a guy, maybe you find a veteran that you put behind him just in case the seas start to get a little rough over the course of the 2022 season. Then you make that decision, but you don't abruptly make a decision based on a loss to Jacksonville and one to the Raiders when you had playoff implications, when you gave up so much to go get a guy that you believed in at the start of the season. You're smart enough to know that, Jeff. You know better than that. And I understand your heart, your soul is with the Indianapolis Colts, and you feel a certain way.
You know it.
Right now, you have to remove yourself from that and look at it objectively. They're not going to move on from him, at least this year.
I never played for the Colts, and I still tend to agree with Jeff here, Key.
No, you may agree with them, but you also got to realize, what are they going to get? What are you going to get? That's better than that you honestly can get.
So here's my question to you, Key. If you could go get a Cousins, and I'm not even using the Aaron Rodgers because we know, I'm just saying, if you could go get a Kirk Cousins type quarterback, do you think that would perform better in the Colts offense than what Carson Wentz just provided you?
I don't think so. I honestly don't think that you can go get a Kirk Cousins and then implement him into the offense and expect for him to carry you where you're trying to go after Carson Wentz had he had a solid season, one of his best seasons he's had in the NFL, and all of a sudden you're going to implement Kirk Cousins and learning a whole new system and all that over again. I don't think that'll work for you.
But this is my point to that. And listen, and they may have to stay with him because of money and because of development, all those things. So, Chris Ballard has to make that call, Jim Irsay and Frank, and I get that, right? But this is what I would say. You look for ascension from a quarterback. Like, when in those moments did he really separate himself from just the average quarterback in our game? Because we gave up a first round and a third round to get him, so you're invested, right? I get that part. But my question is, in the last 2 weeks, when it matters most, and you and I both know next year's not going to be any different. You're going to get down to where that guy has to make those plays. Was there anything that you saw from this season that makes you go, yeah, he's the guy that I want throwing that ball in the fourth quarter of that game down by 7? That's the part that I question. I question that there wasn't anything that I looked at and go, man, he really changed my opinion of how he played and that he elevated the team. I just didn't see the elevation. That's my only concern is you are pot committed, and now I don't want it to make a bad situation even worse. I think you really have to evaluate it.
They're definitely going to be evaluating. They do have a good amount of cap space, though, according to Spotrac.com, the 7th most in the NFL. Obviously, letting go of Carson Wentz frees up even more money. But also, when you look at it, the situation's just bad all around because not only have the Colts digressed, but also the rest of the AFC and really even the AFC South has gone uphill this season. So all around, it's not looking very good for the Colts. But
not good.
You know what? This is depressing enough. So let's just leave it right there, guys. Okay. All right. Moving on here on.